Two Nobel Prize winners, a former vice chairman of the Federal Reserve, the most feared bond traders Wall Street had ever seen. They built a fund with $125 billion in assets, $1.25 trillion in derivatives, and the leverage had reached 250 to 1. In September 1998, they lost $4.6 billion in 5 weeks. The Federal Reserve locked in 16 bank CEOs in a room on a Wednesday night and told them, "Fix this, or the global financial system goes down tomorrow." The risk formula that destroyed them is still a central tool in the risk models of banks, brokers, and ETF providers around the world. Despite everything you're about to see, in all my years of institutional banking, I analyzed and stress-tested value-add risk models firsthand. I've seen what these dashboards show in calm markets, and I've seen what they miss. Here is what no one tells you about this collapse: the story of how two geniuses turned $5 billion into a global emergency, the risk formula that caused it what it is, why it is fundamentally broken, and why it was never truly replaced. And what this means for your portfolio, because the same type of leverage that killed this fund, hedge funds are running it right now in the US Treasury market at a scale that dwarfs 1998. Story time. 1993, John Merriweather, the most legendary bond trader on Wall Street, assembled a team that shouldn't exist outside a movie. Martin Scholes and Robert Merton, who would later win the Nobel Prize for their option pricing formula, a former vice chairman of the Fed, and the sharpest arbitrage trader Salomon Brothers ever produced. They call their fund Long-Term Capital Management, LTCM. Wall Street CEOs invested their own personal money. Banks line up to lend them billions on terms they would never give anyone else. Their returns legendary: 43% in 1995, 41% in 1996. In October 1997, Scholes and Merton win the Nobel Prize in Economics for the formula that supposedly made risk calculable. 1 year later, that formula destroyed them. So here is how the strategy worked. Imagine two identical cans of Coca-Cola. Same product, same company, same taste. One costs $1 in the convenience store, the other $1.02 at the gas station next door. You buy the cheap one, sell the expensive one, pocket the 2-cent difference. That is a convergence arbitrage. Now, here's the problem. 2 cents is nothing. So, to make real money, you borrow massively. LTCM did this with government bonds, not Coca-Cola, but the principle was identical. Buy the slightly cheaper bond, short a slightly more expensive one, wait for the price gap to close. The profit per trade, tiny, few basis points at all. The solution, $125 billion in assets on a $4.8 billion in equity. That is 25 to 1 leverage. Plus $1.25 trillion in off-balance sheet derivatives. They bought $125 billion worth of Coca-Cola, all on credit. August 17th, 1998, Russia defaults on its debt. Now, LTCM's direct Russia losses were manageable, about 400 millions, but that wasn't the point. Russia was the spark. What followed was the fire. Global panic. Every investor on the planet runs for the exit at the same time. They dumped anything risky. They buy anything safe. In our Coca-Cola analogy, suddenly everyone wants only the gas station can. Nobody will touch the convenience store can. The price gap that was supposed to shrink, it exploded. August 21st, LTCM loses $550 million in a single day. Their internal risk model, the model built by the Nobel Prize winners, had said the maximum daily loss should be around 50 million. They lost 11 times that. By the end of August, 45% of their equity was gone. 1.8 billion evaporated in 1 month. And here is where leverage becomes a death sentence. The assets barely moved, still around 125 billion, but the equity underneath it had collapsed. The leverage ratio, which started at 25 to 1, shot past 50 to 1, past 100 to 1. By September 22nd, with only $600 million left, the leverage had reached 250 to 1. At 250 to 1, a price move of only 0.4% wipes out everything. 0. That evening, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York invites the heads of 16 Wall Street banks to an emergency meeting. The next day, 14 of the 16 banks agreed to inject $3.6 billion. Bear Stearns, LTCM's own broker, refuses to pay a single cent. Not $1 of taxpayer money the banks paid, with their own capital, to protect their own balance sheets from the fallout. The Fed organized the room and applied the pressure. That's it? So that was the story. Now, the formula. In 90 seconds, I will show you the exact risk model that failed here and that right now decides whether your broker can liquidate your positions without calling you first. Imagine a weather app that only looks at the last 2 weeks. 14 sunny days, and it tells you 95% chance of sunshine tomorrow. It does not tell you what happens during the other 5%. It doesn't tell you it could be a hurricane. And here is the real danger. If everyone on the planet uses the same weather app and says it's sunny, everyone leaves their umbrella at home. When the storm hits, everyone gets soaked at the same time. The weather app is called value at risk. Nearly every major bank in the world uses it. In one or another form, it takes the last 1 to 2 years of market data, feeds it into a statistical model and outputs one single number, the maximum you should lose on a normal day. Sounds reasonable until you realize where it breaks. Value at risk assumes that markets follow a bell curve. Most days, small move. Extreme days, almost impossible. The problem? Markets don't follow a bell curve. Extreme crashes happen far more often than the math predicts. LTCM's own model calculated that losing 45% of their equity in a single month was a 10 sigma event. Let me translate that. According to their model, a 10 sigma event should not happen once in the entire lifetime of the universe, not once in 13 billion years. It happened in August 1998, in the fund's 4th year of operation. And it gets worse. Value at risk doesn't just fail to warn you, it actively makes crisis worse. In calm markets, value at risk says risk is low. So everyone borrows more, builds more leverage, and then the moment a shock hits, value at risk screams sell to every bank at the same time. The model that was supposed to prevent a crisis becomes the accelerant. And one more thing, value at risk assumes you can sell everything instantly at today's price. But when you hold 125 billion in a panicking market, there is no buyer. The model pretends there is. Let me clean up 2 myths you will hear about this collapse. Retail narrative number 1. LTCM was a black swan, nobody could have predicted it. Well, smart money reality, when you run a 250-to-1 leverage on correlated trades, without stress testing for a liquidity shock, a total wipeout is not an anomaly, it is a mathematical certainty. Number 2. Nobel Prize winners means the models were infallible. Reality, the models were calculated correctly, but they were built on a fundamentally wrong assumptions. The markets behaves like physics. They don't. Markets are human panic, running for the same exit at the same time. LTCM's model said, according to their own math, this could not happen once in a lifetime of the universe. Well, it happens in 5 weeks, and the same model type is running inside your portfolio right now. Here is how it affects you. I have sat in front of these risk dashboards. In calm markets, they are useless. In a crisis, they're actively dangerous. Here's why. When markets are quiet, volatility is low. Value at risk measures low volatility and tells the risk committee all clear. So, what does the bank do? It borrows more, builds more positions, because the model says there's room. Then, a shock. Well, Russia defaults, volatility explodes overnight. Now, same model, the one that said all clear yesterday, screams sell everything. And every major bank uses the same type of model, so every bank gets the same signal at the same time. They all sell into the same market at the same moment. Prices crash further. Volatility spikes again. Value at risk goes even higher, and the model screams louder. This is the doom loop. The risk model does not prevent the crash, it creates it. And one more thing that makes it even worse, LTCM had 75 different lenders, over 50 derivatives counterparties, not a single one of them knew LTCM's total exposure. No covenants limiting aggregate leverage, no mechanism to add it all up. The banks charged 0 initial margin, a privilege normally reserved for governments. They thought they were lending to gods, and they turned off their own alarm systems. So, what does a hedge fund from 1998 mean for you? More than you think. Check. Check if you use any form of margin. Open your broker app, search for portfolio margin or maintenance margin. Those numbers are calculated by a value at risk type model. Any volatility spike, your broker will automatically raise these requirements. If you fall below the threshold, your positions get liquidated automatically at the worst possible price without a phone call. Same principle for robo-advisors. Scalable Capital in Germany, for example, became known for their value at risk-based strategy that triggered automatic rebalancing when stress phases. That model sold into falling markets. Today, Scalable offers different strategies, but the underlying logic exists across the industry. Avoid 3 times leveraged ETFs, unless you deeply understand volatility drag. They rebalance daily, a mechanism that is also pro-cyclical and can amplify losses in volatility markets. And avoid assuming that your diversified portfolio will stay diversified in a crisis. LTCM was diversified across 8 countries, on paper perfect global spread. In reality, highly concentrated on the same risk factors: short liquidity, long credit risk. When panic hit, every position correlated to one. Build a hard liquidity buffer, cash or short-term government bonds. Unleveraged, boring. This is not dead money, this is a call option on the next crisis. Your neighbor gets a margin call and has to sell at fire sale prices, you have cash to buy. And if you think this is ancient history, right now, hedge funds are running the exact same type of convergence trade in the US Treasury market. Estimates range around $1 to $2 trillion in gross positions, leveraged through overnight repos, funding that can disappear in 24 hours. Both the Fed and the Bank of International Settlement have repeatedly flagged the systemic risk. The structure is the same, the scale is far bigger. To wrap it up, 2 Nobel Prize winners, the smartest trader alive, a formula that said disaster was impossible. The formula was right, mathematically, but markets are not math. They are human panic, running for the same exit at the same time, and the formula that misses this is still running in every bank, in every risk department, in the margin system of your broker. But broken models are only half the problem. In the next episode, I will show you what happens when the balance sheet itself is a lie. If you want the full picture, watch the full playlist. I'm Philipp, stay skeptical, and see you in the next one.